Sirikit. Good morning. Television Pool Thailand welcomes you to the live telecast of the Royal Merit Making Ceremony on the 50th day, Panya Samawan, in dedication to the royal remains of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, at Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall in the Grand Palace, Bangkok. Today, the 13th of December 2025, the event will take place at around 10 a.m. Thai time. And this is the second part of the Royal Merit Making Ceremony in continuation from yesterday's event, which took place in the evening of Friday, the 12th of December. Your narrator is Captain Dr. Yungyut Mayalap, and you can listen to this live telecast narrated in English if your television set has a dual language system, or via the website prd.prd.go.th and Facebook NBT World. The Thai word Panya Samawan is a royal religious term used in the Thai Buddhist and court context, especially in royal funeral rites. Panya means wisdom, and Samawan means a commemorative day or observance day, counted day after death. The Day of Wisdom or the Wisdom Observance Day is the meaning of the word Panya Samawan. In practice, Panya Samawan refers to the 50th day merit-making ceremony held after a person's passing, particularly in royal or highly formal Buddhist ceremonies. Since the Royal Household Bureau announcement dated to 24th of October 2025 stating that at 21:21 hours, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, passed away peacefully at King Chulalongkorn Memorial Hospital, the Thai Red Cross Society, at the age of 93. People of all walks of life have expressed their profound mourning over her passing and have gathered to pay their final respect and bid farewell. And at the King Chulalongkorn Memorial Hospital, the Thai Red Cross Society, in deep gratitude for her immeasurable benevolence in carrying out numerous royal duties, both in improving the quality of life of the people in all sectors and in fostering the sustainable development of the nation. On the 26th of October 2025, His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen proceeded to escort the royal remains of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, from King Chulalongkorn Memorial Hospital, the Thai Red Cross Society, at approximately 16:25 hours, and arrived at the Grand Palace at 17:04 hours, amid crowds of mourners dressed in black who lined the route to receive the procession and pay their respects. After having arrived at the Grand Palace, His Majesty the King presented the Prapusa Tatrakam cloth to cover the royal remains and lit incense sticks and candles of Krung Thong Noi set for the royal remains and paid homage to the Buddha image representing the birthday of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen then lit incense sticks and candles of the Krung Thong Noi set to pay royal homage to the royal remains, and His Majesty graciously commanded that members of the royal family perform the ritual pouring of water at the feet of the royal remains. Her Majesty the Queen performed the ablution with scented water at the feet of the royal remains. Thereafter, His Majesty graciously commanded the royal guards and the royal police to convey the royal coffin to the Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall, which is the place you can see in the picture right now. His Majesty the King, Her Majesty the Queen, and members of the royal family proceeded in procession upon the enshrinement of the royal coffin upon the Praten Wen Fa Thong, fitted with the golden royal urn beneath the 9-tiered great white umbrella of state, surrounded by crossed golden regalia, 5-tier clustered umbrellas, 7-tiered side umbrellas, and golden and silver ceremonial trees at the western portico of the Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen laid wreath before the royal urn, and His Majesty the King then lit incense sticks and candles of the Krung Rachasakara Thong Lung Ya Rachavadi set and lit incense sticks and candles of the Krung Thong Noi set. Her Majesty the Queen lit incense sticks and candles of the secondary Krung Rachasakara Thong Lung Ya Rong and lit incense sticks and candles of the Krung Thong Noi set. Thereafter, His Majesty the King lit the incense sticks and candles on the two-tiered golden tray to pay homage to the Buddha image representing the birthday of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. His Majesty then graciously commanded Her Majesty the Queen, Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Her Royal Highness Princess Ubonrat Rajaganya Srivatana Panavadi offer monk's robes until a total of 93 sets had been offered corresponding to the age of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. On the 31st of October 2025 at 10 a.m., His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen proceeded to perform the royal merit-making ceremony for the Satamawan or 7-day observance in dedication to the royal remains of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. On this occasion, incense sticks and candles of the royal worship set were lit and a formal obeisance was made before the royal remains. 30 monks chanted Buddhist prayers on the previous day of her blessing, and upon completion, His Majesty presented binto food containers to the monks and offered sets of monks' robes. The monks chanted the Anumodana of her special blessings for their majesties and bestowed royal blessings. On the 7th of November 2025, Their Majesties the King and Queen proceeded to perform the royal merit-making ceremony for the Panara Samawan, which is the 15-day observance in dedication to the royal remains. On this occasion, His Majesty the King lit sticks and candles of the Thong Longya Rachavadi royal worship set and lit incense sticks and candles of the Thong Noi set. Her Majesty the Queen lit incense sticks and candles of the Thong Longya Rong royal worship set and lit the incense sticks and candles of the Thong Noi set before the royal urn. Thereafter, His Majesty lit incense sticks and candles of the worship set on the two-tiered golden tray to pay homage to the Buddha image representing the birthday of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. Thereafter, His Majesty proceeded to present food offerings to His Holiness Somdet Phra Ariya Wongsa Khattayan, the Supreme Patriarch of Thailand, and senior monks, making a total of 10 monks. The remaining food offerings were graciously assigned by His Majesty to Privy Councillors and senior officials to present to the monks in due order. Subsequently, the King offered sets of monks' robes, and thereafter 93 monks who would perform the Sadappakorn rite corresponding to the age of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, to take their seats on the monastic dais and chant the Matika. And upon completion, His Majesty the King offered the first set of 11 robes. The monk then performed Sadappakorn rite. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen then poured Taksinotok, and the monks chanted Anumodana, offered the special blessing for their majesties and bestow royal blessings. Thereafter, His Majesty graciously commanded that Her Majesty the Queen, Her Royal Highness Princess Maha should offer 10 sets of monks' robes on 6 further occasions, making a total of 93 sets corresponding to the age of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. Thereafter, His Majesty the King proceeded to prostrate himself before the worship set in front of the royal 90th white umbrella, and subsequently His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen proceeded to prostrate themselves before the royal urn containing the royal remains. On the 12th of December 2025, which was yesterday at 5:05 p.m., His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen proceeded together with Her Royal Highness Princess Siriwanwari Rat Rajaganya, His Royal Highness Prince Tipankon Rasami Chod, Mahawachi Rotamangkun, Siri Wibun Rajakuman, and Kunra Sininat Pilat Kalyani to Dusit Prasat Throne Hall in the Grand Palace for the royal ceremony of the Panya Samawan, or the 50th day royal merit-making rites, in dedication to the royal remains of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. On this occasion, Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Her Royal Highness Princess Julaporn Kromapra Sri Sawangkavat, Her Royal Highness Princess Bonrat Rajaganya Sri Watana Panavadi, Her Royal Highness Princess Siripa Juthaporn, Her Royal Highness Princess Atityathon Kitikun, and Tan Pujing Sirikanya Jensen were in attendance to receive their majesties. Wreaths were placed before the royal urn containing the royal remains. His Majesty the King lit incense sticks and candles of the royal animal war gold worship set and lit incense sticks and candles of the minor gold worship set. He also lit incense sticks and candles of the minor gold worship set before the royal urn. Her Majesty the Queen lit incense sticks and candles of the subordinate animal gold royal worship set and lit incense sticks and candles of the minor gold worship set before the royal urn. Thereafter, His Majesty then lit the candle for the reading of the royal sermon book and granted it to the officials of the royal ceremonies to be carried and placed on the table beside the pulpit. He observed the precepts, and Prapom Bandit, abbot of the Wat Prayun Wongsawat, offered the precepts and delivered the Dharma sermon entitled Natakatha. And upon completion, 4 monks chanted the Dharma verses. Thereafter, His Majesty presented the offerings of the 4 requisites and other ceremonial offerings as worship for the sermon. He offered the triple robes to the monk who delivered the Dharma sermon and to the monks who chanted the Dharma verses. The monks chanted the funerary recitation. His Majesty poured the dedicatory water. The monks pronounced the blessings, special blessings for their Majesties the King and Queen, and they offered the royal farewell blessing. His Majesty the King proceeded to the worship set before the throne under the 9-tiered great white umbrella of state and made obeisance. He then proceeded to the front of the royal urn for the royal remains and made obeisance, and then lit incense sticks and candles of the mother pearl tray offering set at the ceremonial bed for the monks chanting the Abhidhamma scripture on the eastern and western sides of the northern portico of Dusit Maha Prasat throne hall. On this day, the officiating monks for the Abhidhamma chanting numbered 8 from Wat Anungkaram and Wat Rajasiddharam. In this regard, His Majesty the King bestowed books on the occasion of the royal merit-making ceremony on the 50th day, Panya Samawan, upon the royal remains, upon those who attended the ceremony, 1 set per person, totaling 5 volumes, comprising Chulalongkorn Raja Santibung, the names of the royal sons, royal daughters, and royal grandchildren, recollections of accompanying the royal visits abroad on official duties, the exhibition hall of Thai folk textiles in celebration of Her Majesty the Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, and Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, with the refined arts and the legend of the Siam Red Cross, parts 1 and 2. So those were the events that have been taking place, parts of the royal funeral ceremonies since the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. And today we'll be witnessing the second part of this royal merit-making ceremony on the occasion of the 50th day following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. At 10 a.m., the royal motorcade will arrive here at the gate of the Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall beside the Rajakaranya Sabha Pavilion. The Guard of Honor will present a royal salute, and the Royal Thai Army Band will play the royal anthem. And their majesties will ascend via the Krasan porch of Piman Rathiya Throne Hall and proceed into the Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall, passing members of the royal family in attendance to the site of the royal urn. Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Sarinthorn will stand before the royal chair. Her Royal Highness Princess Julaporn Kromasi Sawangkavat, Her Royal Highness Princess Atityathon Kitikun will also be standing before their royal chairs. So we are now seeing the inside of the outside of the Dusit Maha Prasat throne hall. Yesterday there was a chanting of Parita by 30 honorific monks who are now participating in today's morning royal merit making ceremony too. The Parita chanting yesterday refers to the recitation of the Buddhist protective verses intended to invoke spiritual protection, blessings and well-being. The term Parita comes from Pali, meaning protection and safeguarding. And it consists of selected passages from the Pali Canon, traditionally recited by Buddhist monks, and these texts are believed to generate protection through the power of truth or satya, loving kindness or metta, and the wholesome mental states of both the chanters and listeners. There was the royal sermon delivered yesterday by Praprom Bandit, the abbot of the Prayun Wongsawat Temple. This is the sermon delivered at the Royal Merit Making Ceremony on the 50th day, dedicated to Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. The sermon was entitled Natakatha, or Discourse on Refuge. The sermon explains the Buddhist concept of Natha, or refuge, or support, emphasizing that a true refuge is one who can rely on oneself and who serves as a refuge for others. It relates this principle to Her Majesty the Queen Mother, whose elevation to the status of Queen reflects both self-reliance and compassionate guardianship of others in accordance with Buddhist teachings. The discourse highlights two key elements: the qualities that create refuge and the presence of noble friendship and wise skillfulness in action. These qualities are illustrated through Her Majesty's roles as a devoted mother, a steadfast royal consort, and a compassionate benefactor of the Thai people. The sermon recalls Her Majesty's contributions to the nation, religion, monarchy, social welfare, cultural preservation, livelihood promotion, and environmental conservation, portraying her as a constant source of refuge for her family and for the people of Thailand, likened to a great tree offering shelter to all. He concludes with a dedication of merit to Her Majesty the Queen Mother for her well-being in the next existence, and with blessings invoking the triple gem and accumulated royal merit for the protection, prosperity, and enduring well-being of their Majesties and the royal family for the long-lasting benefit of the Thai people. The sermon is formally brought to a close with an expression of loyal homage and blessing. Natakatha, or Discourse on Refuge, which was delivered as part of the Royal Merit Making Ceremony on this occasion of the Panya Samawan, the 50th day following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, was offered as a dedication of royal merit and as an exposition of Buddhist teachings relevant to the meaning of refuge, support, and compassionate leadership. The preacher, the motorcar has now arrived at the gate of the Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall beside the Rajakaranya Sabha Pavilion. The Guard of Honor presents a royal salute and the Royal Thai Army Band plays the royal anthem. Their Majesties the King and Queen were sent via the Krasan porch of Piman Rathiya Throne Hall and will proceed into the Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall in a moment. They're now entering the compound of Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall. Their Majesties the King and Queen are being accompanied by His Royal Highness Prince Teepankon Rasami Chod, Maha Rotamangkoon Sri Vibun Rajakuman, and her noble consort Sirinat Pilat Karyani. They are proceeding into the Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall and to the site of the royal urn. They'll be passing members of the royal family in attendance. Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Srinthorn will be standing before the royal chair. Her Royal Highness Princess Julapon Grumbasi Sawankawat, Her Royal Highness Princess Siripajutapon and Her Royal Highness Princess Atitiyathon Kittikun will be standing before their royal chairs. His Majesty the King is lighting the incense and candles of the royal offering set of gold with Rajabadi enamel, and also light the incense and candles of the small golden offering set of Krung Thong Noi before the royal urn and will pay homage. Her Majesty the Queen will light the incense and candles of the secondary royal offering set of gold with enamel, and also light the incense and candles of the small golden offering set before the royal urn and will also pay homage. His Majesty the King proceeds to light the incense and candles of the double-tiered golden offering tray in veneration of the Buddha image of Her Majesty the Queen Mother's birthday before the royal altar under the 9-tiered white umbrella of state. And he will pay homage. You can see also the royal portrait of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, enshrined before the golden royal urn. It is a portrait taken on the occasion of the auspicious celebration of the birthday anniversary of His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej the Great on the 5th of December 1992 at Paisan Thaksin Throne Hall in the Grand Palace. Majesties have now taken their royal seats. Officials will now be inviting His Holiness Somdet Phra Ariya Wongsa Katayan, the Supreme Patriarch, to present the Buddhist precept.
Ti saranena saha panca silani yajama Tutiyampi mayang pante visung rakhanataya Ti saranena saha panca silani yajama Tatiyampi mayang pante visung rakhanataya Ti saranena saha panca silani yajama.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. ธังสรณังคัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิตติยมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิตติยมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิตติยมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิอานาติปาตาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิอะทินนาทานาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิกาเมสุมิจฉาจาราเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิมุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิสุราเมรยมัจจปมาทฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิอิมานิปัญจสิกขาปะทานิสีเลนะสุขติยันติสีเลนะโภคสัมปทาสีเลนะนิพพุติยันติตัสมาสีลังวิโสทะเย
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจรณะสัมปันโนสุขโตโลกวิทูมนุตตโรปุริสตังสรติสัทธาเทวมนุสสานังพุทโธภคะวะติสวากาโตภคะวะตาธัมโมสันติติโกอะกาลิโกเอหิปัสสิโกโลปัญญิโกปัจจันตังเวทิตาโพเวนโยนิยติสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอุชุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆยายาปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสามีติปฏิ สุทารนันตังเมตตัมบุเสกวิทินาจิตวามุนินโตตันเตจะสะภวตุเตจยมังคลานิอุคิตทัสกมติหัตถสุตารนันตังตังติโยชนะปตังกุลิมาลวันตังเอติยปิกตมโนจิตวามุนินโตตันเตจะสะภวตุเตมังคลานิกัตวานากัตตมุตรังอิวากาปิเนยาเจนยะโตตวัจนะชนะกายมาเจสันเตนะโสมวิทินาจิตวามุนินโตตันเตจะสาภวตุเตชยมังคลานิสัจจังวิหายมติสัจจกวาตะเกตุงวาเดวิโรปิตมนังอติอานาโพตังปัญญาปฏิปัจจลิโตจิตวามุนินโตตันจะสาภวตุเตชยมังคลานินันโตปานันตปุจจตังวิปุตังมาเหติปุตเตนะเทระปุจจเขนะธัมมปยันโตเอโตปเทสวิทินาจิตวามุนินโตตันเตจะสาภวตุเตชยมังคลานิทุกขังอทิตยะเอนะสุทัตถะหัตถังพระมังวิสุทธิตุติเมติปัสสิทานังญาณคเทมวิทินาจิตวามุนินโตตันเตภวตุเตชยมังคลานิเอตาปิพุทธชยมังคลาอัตถกาตายโยวาจโนตินาติเนสารเตมตันติอิตวากวิเวทานิจุปัตตวานิโมขังสุขังอธิกามายนโรสัพพัญโยหะการุณิโกนาโตอิตายาสัพพปานินางโมเรตวาปารมีสัพพปัตโตสัมโพธิโมตตมังเอเตนะสัจจวัคเชนะโหตุเตชยมังคลาชยันโตโพธิยาโมเลสักยานังนันทิวัฒโนเนวันวิจโยโหหิจยสุจยมังคเลนะปะจิตตปันนังเกเสวิโปกเรนะภิเสเกสัพพพุทธานังอาจปัตโตปโมทัสสิสุนังกัตตังสุมังคลังสุปาปาตังสุหุติตังสุขโนจะสุเยตังพระมัจจติสุปตาทินังกายกรรมังวาจากรรมังปตากินังปตากินังมโนกรรมังปณิทิเตปตากินาปตากินานิกัตวานลพันตาเตปตากิเนภวตุสัพพมังคลังราคันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพโพ วตาสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนัสสะโสทิภาวันตุเต
His Holiness สมเด็จพระอริยวงศาคตยาน the Supreme Patriarch has presented the Buddhist precepts consisting of the first part for the paying of respect to the Lord Buddha, the homage to the Blessed One, and the 3 refuge and undertaking of the 5 precepts. Upon completion, 30 monks had chanted the Buddhist protective verses of Paritta. The previous day presented the blessing. His Majesty the King is now proceeding to make the offerings of food contained in tiffin carriers, or known in Thai as pinto, to His Holiness the Supreme Patriarch. Honorific monks at the level of Somdet Parachakana and Parachakana, until all 10 honorific monks have been presented with the offerings. The congregation of monks, comprising 30 honorific monks, led by His Holiness Somdet Phra Ariya Wongsakhatayan, the Supreme Patriarch. Other members include Somdet Phra Thirayan Muni, Tepsuntrawa Temple, Somdet Phra Putthajan Traimit Vidyaram Temple, Somdet Phra Mahathirajan Prachetupon Vimol Mankararam Temple. His Majesty the King graciously designates members of the royal family, royal cousins and members of the Privy Council and high-ranking officials to present the offerings of food in tiffin carriers to the remaining 20 monks who chanted the Paritta yesterday during the royal merit-making ceremony in the evening. And in a moment, His Majesty the King will proceed to offer saffron robes to the group of 30 monks who chanted Paritta yesterday. These will be divided into 3 groups of 10 monks to take their seats on the monastic platform to receive the saffron robe offering from His Majesty the King. Following that, the 30 monks will chant the Sadapakon verse on being offered the saffron robes. Officials are now making preparation for the unfolding of the Prapusayong, or the ceremonial connecting cloth, which accompany the offering of the robes, or patrai, or the saffron robes. The royal ceremonial officers have carried the toy, which is the device used to support the Prapusayong, or the connecting cloth, extending from the front area of the Suwanbintadon throne. This Prapusayong is drawn from the base of the royal urn and passed over the Gan ornament in the front and descends onto the Pan Pramakatin, or the royal offering tray. And you can see that the Prapusayong is being supported at intervals by these special ceremonial pedestals to make sure that it is lifted high above the ground. And when the Prapusayong is placed upon the monastic platform, it is also covered, supported underneath by a long white cloth to separate the Prapusayong from the surface of the monastic platform, as this long piece of cloth is regarded as auspicious. His Majesty the King is now making the offering of patrai, or saffron robes, to the congregation of monks. So Prapusayong, or this royal funerary streamer, is considered as an auspicious item of royal religious ceremonies. This long gold embroidered cloth connected to the royal urn serves as a symbolic link between Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, and the merit to be made by the offering of saffron robes by His Majesty the King, and members of the royal family or royal cousins to the monks. This is a gesture of disseminating merit to the deceased monarch by physical indirect connection, as can be seen in cases of ordinary Buddhist funeral ceremonies when merit made by their families by the offering of saffron robes to monks is symbolically transmitted. The monks have chanted Sadapakon, which is the rite for the verse for the deceased. The saffron robe, orange yellow hue, has deep historical and spiritual significance.
Tithi Raho Jayo Nitang
ติภวันตุเตภวตุสัพพมังคลังราคะตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพธรรมานุภาเวนัสสะโสติภวันตุเตภวตุสัพพมังคลังราคันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนัสสะโสติภวันตุเตขอถวายพระพรเจริญพระราชสิริสวัสดิพัฒนมงคลพระชนมสุขทุกประการจงมีแด่สมเด็จบรมพิตรพระราชสมภารเจ้าทั้งสองพระองค์ผู้ทรงพระคุณอันประเสริฐเวลานี้สมควรแล้วอาตมาภาพทั้งปวงขอถวายพระพรลาแด่สมเด็จบรมพิตรพระราชสมภารเจ้าทั้งสองพระองค์ผู้ทรงพระคุณอันประเสริฐขอถวายพระพร
Following the offering of the saffron robes to the 10 monks, which is the first round of offerings, in a moment there will be 2 more rounds of 10 honorific monks taking their turn to receive the saffron robes offering from His Majesty the King. Sadapakorn verses was chanted by this congregation of 10 monks, and after that His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen poured lustre water or taksinotok as a dedication of merit. Sadapakorn refers to a royal memorial chanting ceremony conducted exclusively for the highest members of the monarchy. During this sacred ritual, monks recite passages from the 7 treatises of the Abhidhamma, the profound Buddhist teachings on the nature of mind, consciousness, and ultimate truth. This chanting accompanies a series of ritual offerings. Incense and candles are lit, symbolic water of dedication is poured, and ceremonial robes are humbly presented to the Sangha, the community of monks. His gesture represents deep reverence, compassion, and the aspiration for spiritual purity on behalf of the royal personage being honored. The ceremony reflects the union of royal duty and spiritual devotion. It is a moment when the royal household, alongside the nation, pauses in solemn contemplation. Together they offer merits, express gratitude for the exemplary life of service, and pray for the peaceful, noble journey of the royal spirit. So the Sadapakorn is not merely a ritual, it is an expression of love, continuity, and the enduring bond between the Thai people, the monarchy, and the Dharma. A tribute that is profoundly ceremonial, yet deeply human. As for the pouring of the lustre water, every droplet carries a message of love and remembrance. Every ripple signifies a prayer for peace, liberation, and a noble transcendence beyond the impermanence of earthly life. In the sacred traditions of Thai royal funerary rites, there's a moment of this profound meaning, a moment when devotion becomes visible through a single graceful act, the pouring of lustre water. This ceremonial water, meticulously blessed by the Sangha, represents the collective merit of an entire nation. As their majesties pour the water gently into the ceremonial vessel, it symbolizes the dedication of pure and boundless merit to the revered royal personage who has passed on. This ritual embodies the essence of Buddhist belief that merit, when offered with sincerity, guides the spirit forward on its journey towards a realm of higher peace. And so in this solemn moment, the nation watches, the hearts of the people united in reverence as the lustre water flows, gently carrying with it a river of gratitude, a testament to a lifetime of grace, virtue, and unwavering devotion. the end of the chanting of blessing by the 30 honorific monks, the monks then chanted Anumotana and benedictions, consisting of the water pouring blessing, Sapi So Atalato, the blessing for their majesties, Bot Sappa Mukunkata, and the benediction of farewell. The next group of honorific monks are now seated on the monastic platform. The Prabhupasayong has now been placed in position, supported at intervals by the pedestals. The officials are now making preparation in readiness for His Majesty the King to make the presentation of saffron robes to the second congregation of monks, 10 in number. Apart from today's 30 honorific monks who are receiving the offering of the saffron robes from His Majesty the King, there will be 93 monks participating in the latter half of the royal merit-making ceremony today. The 93 is equivalent to the age of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, and the tradition of having monks equal in number to the age of deceased chant prayers at a funeral or memorial has roots in ancient Buddhist merit-making and Thai royal monastic tradition. The practice of inviting a number of monks equal to the age of the deceased stems from Theravada Buddhist custom interwoven with Thai court and temple traditions. It reflects the principle of merit transference, that is, performing acts of merit and dedicating them to the departed. The 10 honorific monks chanted the Sadapakon verse on being presented by His Majesty the King with the offering of saffron robes. The principle of inviting a number of monks equal to the number in years of the deceased stems from the Theravada Buddhist custom. This is mixed with the Thai court and temple traditions, and it reflects the principle of merit transference, that is, performing acts of merit, dedicating them to the departed. Each monk symbolizes one completed year in the life of the deceased, and thus the total number of monks represents the fullness of the life lived. This gesture expresses both gratitude, or katanyu, and a wish for continued blessings and peaceful transition in the next existence. The second group of honorific monks who chanted Parita yesterday, having received this offering of saffron robes and chanted the Sadapakon verse, are now departing from the hall of Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall. This will be followed by the third group of the remaining 10 honorific monks to take their monastic platform seats and receive the offerings of saffron robes from His Majesty the King. Yesterday's royal sermon that I have summarized early on was delivered by Prapom Bandit, the abbot of Prayunwangsawat Temple. This Dhamma sermon entitled Natakatha, or Discourse on Refuge, was delivered as part of the Royal Merit Making Ceremony on the occasion of the 50th day of Panya Samawan, following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. The sermon was offered as a dedication of royal merit and as an exposition of Buddhist teachings relevant to the meaning of refuge, support, and compassionate leadership. The sermon opens by explaining that the royal merit-making ceremonies conducted since the passing of Her Majesty have been carried out in a grand and continuous manner in accordance with Buddhist teachings on filial duty and the honoring of those who have passed away. Such acts of merit are described as being fully in harmony with the principles set forth in the Buddhist scriptures concerning the dedication of merit to departed relatives. The discourse then focuses on the significance of Her Majesty's status as Queen, emphasizing that her elevation to the title of Queen Consort reflects the Buddhist concept of Natha, one who is both self-reliant and a refuge for others. In this context, the sermon explains that a true refuge is one who embodies self-reliance, compassion, and moral strength, and who serves as a source of support and protection to others. His Majesty the King is now making offering of saffron robes to the monks. Monks in number, which is this last group of the 30 monks who chanted Parita protection verses yesterday during the evening royal merit making ceremony. Patrai means a set of Buddhist monk robes. Pa meaning cloth or robe, and Trai meaning three. So Patrai literally means the three robes. One patrai consists of three pieces of monastic robes: sabong, which is the lower robe; jiwon, which is the upper robe; and sankati, the outer double layer robe. Together they form the complete set of robes. The judge chanted the Sadapagon verse for the deceased, following the receipt of the saffron robes, the patrai. In Thai Buddhist practice, patrai refers not only to clothing, but to a formal offering to monks and a symbol of high merit. It is offered during funerals and memorial services, royal merit-making ceremonies, Katin ceremonies, and ordinations, as well as other important Buddhist observances. In funerals, offering patrai is followed by sadapagon, or funeral chanting, and the dedication of merit to the deceased. So patrai means a set of three monks' robes, offered ceremonially as a high merit religious offering, especially in funerary and royal rites. As to the royal sermon being delivered yesterday, the initial part of the sermon elaborates on the Buddhist principle that a person becomes a refuge by practicing Natha Karanatham, or the qualities that create refuge. Two such qualities are highlighted: the presence of noble friendship, or Kalayanamit, and skillful competence in carrying out duties, or King Kroniye Sutakata. These qualities are illustrated through Her Majesty's role as a devoted mother, whose unconditional love and compassion provided a secure foundation for her children enabling them to grow in wisdom, capability, and moral conduct. Special attention is given to Her Majesty's role as a royal mother and consort, emphasizing her steadfast support of the King in times of responsibility and hardship. Her partnership is described as one of shared commitment, perseverance, and mutual dedication to the welfare of the nation and its people. Her presence is portrayed as that of a constant companion in both ease and difficulty, exemplifying the ideal of noble companionship in Buddhist teaching. The sermon also reflects on Her Majesty's compassionate role towards the Thai people, presenting her as a maternal figure and a refuge for all. Her initiatives in social welfare, cultural preservation, livelihood promotion, and environmental conservation are cited as expressions of compassionate action guided by wisdom and skill. Through these undertakings, she is likened to a great sheltering tree that provides protection and sustenance to all who depend on it. In concluding, the sermon dedicates the accumulated merit of the royal ceremonies to Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, with the aspiration that she may attain a blissful state in the next existence, in accordance with royal intention. It further invokes blessings from the Triple Gem and the power of accumulated merit for the protection, prosperity, and enduring well-being of their Majesties and the royal family, so that they may continue to be a source of stability, guidance, and blessing to the Thai people for generations to come. The sermon formally concludes with an expression of loyal homage and reverent blessings. We talk about the saffron robes, the patrai, worn by Buddhist monks and novices, one of the most recognizable symbols of the Buddhist faith. Its color, simplicity, and manner of use embody the central principles of the Buddha's teachings: renunciation, humility, and devotion to the path of enlightenment. The robe signifies simplicity and non-possession. A monk is permitted only a small number of robes, traditionally 3: the outer robe, the upper robe, and the inner robe. This limitation reflects the principle of contentment with little, a cornerstone of monastic discipline. The robe serves not only as clothing, but as a symbolic boundary marking the individual's commitment to the monastic order and the renunciation of lay life. Offering saffron robes to monks, known as katina or katin, or robe presentation ceremony, is one of the most meritorious acts in Buddhism. It occurs annually at the end of the 3-month rains retreat. The robe offering signifies the laity's support of the monastic community and independence between monks and lay people. The act of offering robes is believed to cultivate generosity and merit, essential virtues for spiritual growth.
มาเทวทัสเนนันภาวนายัปหาตาภาธรรมาทัสเนนัปหาตาภเหตุกาธรรมาภาวนายัปหาตาภเหตุกาธรรมาเนวทัสเนนันภาวนายัปหาตาภเหตุกาธรรมาอาจยคามิโนธรรมาอปัจจยคามิโนธรรมาเนวาจยคามิโนนาปัจจยคามิโนธรรมาเสกขาธรรมาเสกขาธรรมาเนวเสกขานาเสกขาธรรมาปริตตาธรรมามหาคตาธรรมาอัปปมานาธรรมาปริตตารัมมนาธรรมามหาคตารัมมนาธรรมาอัปปมานาธรรมนาธรรมาหินาธรรมามัชฌิมาธรรมาปณิตาธรรมาเมชฌาตนิยตาธรรมาสัมมาตนิยตาธรรมาอนิยตาธรรมามาการัมมนาธรรมามาคเหตุกาธรรมามาคาติปติโนธรรมาอุปันนาธรรมาอนุปันนาธรรมาอุปาทิโนธรรมาอติตาธรรมาอนาคตาธรรมาปัจจุปันนาธรรมาอติตารัมมนาธรรมาอนาคตารัมมนาธรรมาปัจจุปันนารัมมนาธรรมาอัจฉตาธรรมาปหิทาธรรมาอัจฉตปหิทาธรรมาอัจฉตารัมมนาธรรมาปหิทารัมมนาธรรมาอัจฉตปหิทารัมมนาธรรมาสนิทาสนสาปฏิฆาธรรมาอนิทาสนสาปฏิฆาธรรมาอนิทาสนาปฏิฆาธรรมาเหตุปัจจโยอารัมมณปัจจโยอธิปติปัจจโยอนันตลปัจจโยสัมมนันตลปัจจโยสหชาตปัจจโยอัญญมัญญปัจจโยเนสยปัจจโยอุปเนสยปัจจโยปุเรชาปัจจโยปัจจาชาตปัจจโยอาเสวนปัจจโยกรรมปัจจโยวิปากปัจจโยอาหารปัจจโยอินทรียปัจจโยชานะปัจจโยมัคคปัจจโยสัมปโยตปัจจโยวิปโยตปัจจโยอาทิปัจจโยนาทิปัจจโยวิทัตปัจจโยอวิกัตปัจจโย
This is the first group of 11 monks from 93 monks participating in the second part of today's ceremony. They are now being offered patrai, or the saffron robes, by His Majesty the King. For following which they will be chanting the Sadapakon verses. The total number of the monks participating in the second part of the ceremony, the figure of 93, is equivalent to the age of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. They'll be chanting the Matika verse for the deceased, and the officials have laid the Prapusayong for each round of the saffron robe offerings. After the chanting of the Sadapakon verses by the monks, His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen will pour the lustre water as a mark of benediction.
ปุราปริปุเรนติสาคารังเอวะเมวะอิโตทินังเปตานังอุปกัปปติอิชิตังปฏิตังตุมหังคิปะเมวะสมิจฉตุสัพเพปุเรนตุสังกปาจันโทปนรโสยถามณิโชติระโสยถาสัพพิติโยวิวัจจันตุสัพพะโรโควินาศตุมาเตภวัตวันตรายโยสุขิติกายุโกภวสัพพิติโยวิวัจจันตุสัพพะโรโควินาศตุมาเตภวัตวันตรายโยสุขิติกายุโกภวสัพพิติโยวิวัจจันตุสัพพะโรโควินาศตุมาเตภวัตวันตรายโยสุขิติกายุโกภวะอภิวาทนาสิริสเนจังอุทธาปัจจายโนจัตตารโอธรรมาวัฏันติอายุวันโนสุขังพลังอาคาสิเมอาคาสิเมยาติเมตตาสักขาจะเมเปตานังตากินังตาชาโอเปกัตมโนสรังนาหิรุนังวาโสโกวายาวันยาปริเทวนานาตังเปตานัมมาทายะเอวังเตตันติยาตโยอายัญจะโกทากินาตินาสังฆามิสุปฏิทิตาทิกรตังอิตายาสัทธานาโสอุปกาปฏิโสยาติธรรมโมชยังนิทาสิโตเปตานะโพชาจักตาอุลาราภลัญจะภิกขุนัมโนปฏินังตุมเมอิปุญญังปัสสุตังอนาปกันติอติเรกวัฏสสตังชีวตุอติเรกวัฏสสตังชีวตุอติเรกวัฏสสตังชีวตุทีคายุโกโหตุอโรโคโหตุทีคายุโกโหตุอโรโคโหตุ สุขิโตโหตุปรเมนทมหาราชาสัปรมราชินีสิทธิกิจจังสิทธิกัมมังสิทธิลาโภชโยนิจจังปรเมนทมหาราชวรัสสะปรมราชนียาสหะภวตุสัพพทาขอถวายพระพรภวตุสัพพมังคลังลักขันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนัสสัทธาโสทิภวันตุเตภวตุสัพพมังคลังลักขันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพธรรมานุภาเวนัสสัทธาโสทิภวันตุเตภวตุสัพพมังคลังลักขันตุสัพพเทวตาสัพพสัมมานุภาเวนัสสัทธาโสทิภวันตุเต
ขอถวายพระพรเจริญพระราชสิริสวัสดิ์พิพัฒนมงคลพระชนมสุขทุกประการจงมีแด่สมเด็จบรมบพิตรพระราชสมภารเจ้าทั้งสองพระองค์ผู้ทรงพระคุณอันประเสริฐเวลานี้สมควรแล้วอาตมภาพทั้งปวงขอถวายพระพรลาแด่สมเด็จบรมบพิตรพระราชสมภารเจ้าทั้งสองพระองค์ผู้ทรงพระคุณอันประเสริฐขอถวายพระพร
This is the first part of the offering of saffron robes, merit-making activities to 93 monks. The offering will be conducted by His Majesty the King and by Her Majesty the Queen and Her Royal Highness Princess Maha, who are graciously designated by His Majesty the King. The total of 93 monks is symbolically equivalent in number to the age of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. And on being offered the saffron robes, they will chant the Sadapakon verse. So that's the first group of 11 monks. There'll be two further groups of 11 monks taking their seats on the monastic platform, and His Majesty the King will present the saffron robes offerings to each of these two groups. Then that will be followed by three groups, each of 10 honorific monks receiving the offerings of saffron robes from Her Majesty the Queen, and another three groups of 10 monks to be offered with saffron robes by Her Royal Highness Princess Maha. You can see during the ceremony today that the monks are carrying their fans, and these are known as the patyot, or the fans of rank, or honorific fans. This is an official insignia of ecclesiastical rank bestowed upon a monk by the king. It serves as a symbol of royal recognition and is presented together with a royal ecclesiastical title or higher honor. The fan represents spiritual authority, dignity, and status within the Sangha, or the monastic order. It is the monastic equivalent of a royal or state decoration, an emblem of the monk's position and honor, not a functional fan. Each fan is carefully designed and differs according to rank. With regard to the shape, it may be in oval, pointed, or flame shape. In terms of the material, it may be embroidered silk, velvet, or metallic thread. Or insignia, it may contain the royal emblem, tiered umbrellas, or the Garuda seal, and the inscription of the monk's full honorific title appearing on the fan of ranks. It is kept beside the monk's seat or held during formal occasions such as royal ceremonies, Sangha assemblies, or Dharma sermons. Never used for fanning oneself. The king personally or by command bestows the fan of rank when conferring ecclesiastical titles. It is one of the most sacred and prestigious items a monk can receive in his lifetime, marking royal recognition of his virtue, learning, and service to Buddhism and the nation. His Majesty the King is now approaching the monastic platform to make the offering of saffron robes to 11 monks. The second group of 11 monks participating in this royal merit-making ceremony this morning. As for the commemorative fan, this is not an insignia of rank, but a souvenir or offering fan presented to monks or used in ceremonies to commemorate special occasions such as royal anniversaries, temple dedications, cremations, or merit-making ceremonies. So these commemorative fans may be embroidered or painted with images of temples, royal crests, or event emblems. It bears the name and date of the event or donor rather than a royal title. And it can be produced in many identical copies and is not a royal award. So, having received the offerings of saffron robes, the second group of 11 monks have just chanted the Satapakon verse, and the next group of 11 monks will now be approaching the monastic platform, while the second group will be departing from the throne hall. There are many questions asking about the reason why Buddhist monks eat 1 or 2 meals a day. Buddhist monks, especially in the Theravada tradition, practiced in countries like Thailand, usually eat 1 or 2 meals a day, or taken before noon. After midday, they do not eat solid food until dawn of the next day. This rule comes from the Vinaya, or Vinay, the monastic code established by the Buddha. The goal is not self-punishment or mindful moderation. It prevents indulgence and attachment to taste or comfort. It frees time and energy for meditation and study. It helps monks live simply and depend on what lay people offer, cultivating gratitude and humility. Monks see food as fuel for the body, not as pleasure. Before eating, they reflect with a short chant. I take this food not for enjoyment, not for fattening, but only to sustain this body and to continue the holy life. Having 1 or 2 meals in the morning also suits their daily routine. Mornings comprise alms round, meal, and community duties. Afternoons, study, meditation, or teaching. And evenings, meditation and rest, because they live peacefully with less physical activity and more contemplative focus. This pattern usually supports their physical needs. Eating less often trains monks to be able to let go of craving, one of the central teachings in Buddhism. By limiting how and when they eat, they learn to observe hunger without reacting to it, developing discipline and wisdom about impermanence and self-control. Every morning, the Buddhist monks go on alms round, walking silently through villages or towns to receive food offerings from lay people And this tradition dates back to the time of the Buddha over 2,500 years ago, and remains a living connection between the monastic community or Sangha and the society. The alms round is not begging, it is a practice of humility, interdependence, and compassion. Monks go with empty bowls as a symbol of letting go of pride and desire. They receive whatever is offered without choosing, an act of acceptance and equanimity. Lay people give food as an act of generosity or than, one of the most important Buddhist virtues to support the monk's spiritual path. Thus both sides practice the Dhamma. Monks cultivate detachment and gratitude. Lay people cultivate generosity and joy in giving, or mudita. The practice creates a reciprocal relationship between the monastic and lay communities. Monks rely on lay supporters for their physical sustenance. Lay people rely on monks for spiritual guidance and teachings. This mutual dependence reinforces the Buddhist ideal of a harmonious and compassionate society. His Majesty the King is now offering the 7 robes to this third group of monks. 11 monks out of the total of 93 monks participating in the merit-making ceremony in the latter half of this morning. Following the receipt of the offering of the 7 robes, the monks will then chant Sadapagon verses. The 33 monks have now received the offering of 7 robes as part of the royal merit-making ceremony for the latter half of this morning. The court officials will now invite further 3 groups of 10 monks to the monastic platform. I mentioned about the practices of the morning alms round for the monk, or Pindapana, or Pindapat, the spiritual meaning and the mutual relationship, the symbiosis of monks and lay people, the reciprocal relationship between the monastic and lay communities. For monks, walking mindfully and silently through the community is a form of moving meditation. For lay people, preparing and offering food with good intention cultivates mindfulness and a moment of peace at the start of the day. In countries like Thailand, the morning alms round also represents a peaceful rhythm of daily life, a visible reminder of spiritual values in a busy world. The sight of 7-robed monks receiving alms in silence symbolizes purity, compassion, and the continuity of the Buddha's teaching. So this tradition of alms round dates back to the time of the Lord Buddha over 2,500 years ago and remains a living connection between the monastic community or Sangha and society. There are some important restrictions on the daily conduct of Buddhist monks based on the Vinaya or monastic discipline. And all Buddhist monks live under this code of discipline, this Vinaya, established by the Lord Buddha himself. Theravada monks follow 227 precepts that guide behavior, speech, diet, relationships, and use of possession. So these are some key daily restrictions. For example, no eating afternoon. Monks may have only 1 or 2 meals before noon and abstain from solid food until dawn the next day. This trains moderation, mindfulness, and detachment from craving. No handling of money. Monks cannot buy, sell, or keep money. They depend entirely on lay supporters for food, clothing, shelter, and medicine, cultivating humility and gratitude. No sexual activity or romantic contact. Monks live under strict celibacy to preserve purity of mind and focus on spiritual development. No entertainment or adornment. The monks avoid singing, dancing, watching shows, wearing ornaments, perfumes, or luxurious clothing, maintaining simplicity and concentration. And no accumulation of possessions. A monk may only keep the basic requisites: 3 robes, an alms bowl, a belt, a needle, a razor, and a water filter. This supports the principle of non-attachment and equality. His Majesty the King graciously designates Her Majesty the Queen to make the offering of saffron robes. The monks will soon chant Sadapakon verse, and then there will be the next 2 groups of 10 monks each to take their monastic platform and receiving the offering of saffron robes from Her Majesty the Queen. I've mentioned some of the key daily restrictions on the daily conduct of Buddhist monks. Here are some more examples. Restricted communication and conduct. The monks avoid idle talk, false speech, harsh words, and gossip. They cultivate right speech, speaking only what is truthful, beneficial, and kind. Avoiding worldly occupations, they cannot engage in business, politics, fortune-telling, or any profession for income. Their role is purely spiritual and educational, not economic or political. So these restrictions are not punishments, but spiritual disciplines designed to simplify life, reduce distractions, strengthen mindfulness and self-control, build trust between the monastic and lay communities, enable monks to devote their time fully to meditation and teaching of the Dharma. With the restriction on food, in the Theravada Buddhist tradition, monks live under a code of discipline that include detailed rules about food. These are not merely dietary customs, but spiritual practices that cultivate mindfulness, moderation, and gratitude. Monks have 1 or 2 meals a day or taken before noon. After midday, they may drink only certain liquids like water, juice, or clear broth, but no solid food. This rule trains them to live simply, avoid indulgence, and maintain awareness of bodily needs rather than desires. They depend entirely on lay people for their food, so they do not cook or store food. Every morning, monks go on an alms round or bindabat to receive offerings, and they accept whatever is given without asking for specific items, a practice of contentment and humility. Monks can only eat what has been offered directly into their alms bowl or presented respectfully by lay people. They may not take food by themselves, steal, or request luxury dishes. Once the offering ceremony is complete, monks may eat the food in silence and mindfulness, reflecting on its purpose, not for pleasure, not for fattening, not for adornment, but only for sustaining this body and continuing the holy life. Leftover food from the previous day cannot be consumed. The practice prevents attachment to taste, hoarding, and waste, while encouraging daily dependence on the generosity of others. There are no permanent religious taboos on specific foods such as meat or vegetables, but monks may not eat meat from animals killed specifically for them, human flesh, intoxicants of blood, and anything obtained through improper means. Her Majesty the Queen, graciously designated by His Majesty the King, is now presenting the offering of saffron robes to the monks. The second group of 10 monks in a moment, the monk will chant the Sadapagon verses. Throughout the first decade of the reign, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, has been involved in many of His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej the Great's educational and public welfare programs, like raising funds for hospital buildings, leprosy programs, vaccinations against cholera, especially programs in schools for poor children, as stated in her royal speech on the 18th of August 1986 at Dusit Hall. I want to achieve my objectives, to reach out to the poorest people that I can, to give them the 4 essentials, to make them as developed as the center of our nation, to allow their children to receive an education. I'm determined to ensure the people have an integrated village with farming, animal husbandry, and a rice bank. This is what is called live well, eat well, free from ill health caused by a lack of food. As the years passed, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, developed vocational education projects that provided the poor with the means to supplement their income as farmers. Sometimes these involved teaching them a craft or trade so that they could support their families. Her Majesty's vocational education projects like the Support Foundation have helped to bolster Thailand's ancient arts and crafts, reviving them and making them again the pride of all Thai people. However, not many people are aware of Her Majesty's involvement in general education and her interest in teaching, not simply initiating projects. Keeping in mind His Majesty King Rama IX's wish that the Queen should pay attention to the family, she has taken schools under her protection and guidance in order to contribute to the future stability of the family. Her Majesty made this desire to stress the importance of education at the National Council for Women on the 24th of February 1962. She said that training provides children with knowledge and a good attitude. They know the value of sharing benefits. This is important for the development of our nation. So from as early as 1950, Her Majesty has supported girls' schools, for example, Sai Panya School in Bangkok. She kept a watchful eye on the school and its students, providing them with additional land for activities in 1952 and bringing the school under royal patronage in 1953. Her Majesty has continued the work begun by His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej the Great in terms of presenting higher education graduates with their degree certificates, such as Srinakarin Virod University in 1971. Her Majesty the Queen is now offering saffron robes to another group of 10 monks as part of the merit-making ceremony on this occasion of the 50th day following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, on the 24th of October 2025. The monks will subsequently chant Sadapakon verse. The court officials will now guide the next group of 10 monks to take their seats on the monastic platform. As representative of His Majesty the late King Rama IX, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, sometimes presented honors and graduation certificates to students of the National Defense College. Her Majesty's interest in education and teaching stems from her interest in her own children's education. Their Majesties had always been devoted parents and spent hours playing with their children. The King could be seen wearing a polo shirt in family photos, playing with the children, while the Queen sat on the ground telling stories to them. Her Majesty was an avid reader and musician, as she was a classically trained pianist. Her family and friends had been entertained by the Queen at the piano on several occasions. Although these days, in the latter days, she had little time to practice, one of Her Majesty's secretariat mentioned that the piano was her means of relaxation. These included some songs writing on her part, often poetry, to be set to music by many of her talented palace musicians. Her favorite subject matter tended to be poetic descriptions of flowers, and the Queen's great interest in conservation matters also. Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, Queen Mother, once went to Hua Hin in Prachop Khiri-Khan province, Ban Pran Khiri, early in the reign, where she used to teach the village children. It was said that when her automobile swept into the village, children would run excitedly toward the school for their lesson with the Queen, shouting to their friends that their royal teacher had arrived. Her Majesty prepared primary-level reading practice books for these lessons. Her Majesty often used general information books to read, things that local people would find interesting and not too dry, such as folk stories and the Jataka tales. Sometimes she would read from a history of Thailand and more mature novels by leading Thai writers like Red Bamboo by Mom Prachawong Krukrit Paramot. Her Majesty taught individuals and groups of 2 to 3 students, often sitting on the beach under a tree. She gave awards to those who could read fast and diligently, keeping an account of all the students she taught. She listed not only whom she taught, but also how well they studied, noting especially those who could read well. This was an interesting characteristic of Her Majesty. She found reading to be a valuable attribute and was known to encourage those around her to read. Her gifts for people upon her return from abroad were often books, which she chose on her frequent visits to bookstores. Even if she herself had no time, she would arrange for her companions to be given a tour of the bookshops and had been known to purchase relevant literature on military matters, for instance, for her bodyguards. His Majesty the King graciously designates Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Sirikit to make the offerings of saffron robes. This is another group of 10 monks. In a moment, the monks will chant Sadapagon verse in response. Watching the live telecast of the Royal Merit Making Ceremony on the occasion of the 50th day following passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, on the 24th of October 2025. The court officials will now lead this congregation of 10 monks to leave the hall of Dusit Prasat, Throne Hall, and the next group of 10 monks will now be taking their place. Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, taught general knowledge, as I mentioned, but stressed moral education, the story of the Lord Buddha, how to be a good person for society and nation, diligence, love of country and of oneself. Her Majesty distributed useful books about religion and others with knowledge of Thailand, such as important places, ancient rites, ancient sites, novels that stimulated knowledge and ideas. Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, set up temporary support centers near several royal palaces and elsewhere. After consulting with local monks about which villages were notably poor, Her Majesty would then select a village that she was informed was particularly in need of assistance and set up a center there. She would teach the children of trainees at the supplementary occupation centers herself, or sometimes ask her royal guards to assist her in teaching subjects such as religion, ethics, and health education. Her Majesty had an idea that she could provide Thai people in the countryside with library services and basic health care through a place called Sala Rum Chai. It is similar in part to a local library containing books and magazines on topics that villagers can use to assist themselves and their own development. These included Buddhist texts, academic books, novels, and magazines. Like libraries, they contain newspapers for local people to keep up with national news and general information. Local knowledge was in danger of disappearing, so Sala Rum Chai acted almost as depositories of local wisdom and handicrafts. Basic medicine were also kept there for use by the villagers on the advice of local health volunteers. One Sala Rum Chai set up at the temple is Wat Sarawan in Maikan sub-district in Pattani province in the south of Thailand, established on the 18th of June 1984. These places of knowledge were Her Majesty's personal contribution to villages and were good examples of Her Majesty's people-centered approach. Health volunteers were part of the Sala Rum Chai facilities. Her Majesty paid for the basic medical training of a number of local villagers who would be stationed at the Sala Rum Chai, knowledgeable enough to offer immediate but basic medical care to the other villagers. And naturally, There was a simple medical kit with essential medicines on hand, and very often a telephone for the volunteers to call a local clinic or government medical center for the purpose of asking advice when up against something they had never seen before. Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Sirinthorn is now offering saffron robes or patrai to the next group of 10 honorific monks as merit making for the royal remains of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. The saffron robes are placed on top of the Prapusayong, the funerary streamers, auspicious item being placed on the surface of the platform in front of the congregation of monks. And this Prapusayong is symbolically connected to the royal urn of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, symbolically transmitting the merit made by the offering of the saffron robes to the spirit, the royal spirits of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. In a moment, the monks will chant Sadapakon verse. I mentioned about the Sala Room Chai centers, royally initiated by Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. They were set up in quick succession from 1976 onwards. And on the 9th of March 1976, Sala Room Chai was established at Hangdong district in Chiang Mai province. On the same day, Sala Room Chai was built near the temple at San Patong district in the same province. Whenever the Queen visited hill tribes or people in isolated areas, if there was a school, she would visit and observe the classroom. Sometimes Her Majesty would observe classroom teaching so that she could offer advice that might benefit both teachers and students. This advice was based on her broad experience over many years of observation. Her Majesty was particularly interested in health education, social studies, and morality. Sometimes Her Majesty donated pictures, clothes, notebooks, pencils, and school equipment to such rural village schools. It is fair to say that Her Majesty paid attention to education matters at all levels. For many years, she accomplished His Majesty the late King Rama IX to universities when he was to present degrees and certificates to graduates. From the grassroots to society to the highest level, Her Majesty was interested in all without discrimination. Although since the late 1950s, successive governments placed emphasis on formal education, both their majesties had contributed substantially to provide more schools in remote areas for all people. For instance, on the 25th of April 1962, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, donated 13,500 baht start-up money to build the school for the hill tribes in Phang district of Chiang Mai province. And later, other people donated more money to ensure its construction. When in 1967, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, offered 21,000 baht to construct a school number 2 in Chiang Mai. And in 1980, the schools were handed over to the government. Her Majesty's effort to provide schools, or at least initiate the construction and encourage other donors was not for the sake of building a separate block of education institutions that she managed outside of the formal education authorities. It was the initial impetus, only that Her Majesty sought to construct schools and start the education process in certain rural areas. Moreover, her charges took their position quite seriously, and it was not unusual for royally sponsored schools to do quite well educationally. The Marim Primary School that Her Majesty founded, for example, was later awarded first prize as the best school in the province. It appeared to be that the Queen's example motivated both teachers and pupils to do their best. Her Royal Highness Princess Maha is now making the presentation of saffron robes offering to the last group of monks, 10 monks, as the merit-making gestures, and the monks will soon deliver the Sadapakon verse. So this group of monastic honorific monks will now be departing the Dusit Maha Prasat throne hall. The officials are now folding up the Prapusayong, very carefully folding them up. And the pedestal are now going to be removed as we are coming to the end of the royal merit-making ceremony. This royal merit-making ceremony is being conducted on the occasion of the 50th day following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, on the 24th of October 2025. And this is the interior of the Dusit Maha Prasat throne hall within the ground of the Grand Palace. Later there will be the chanting of the Abhidhamma. This is a formal Buddhist ritual in which monks recite teachings from the Abhidhamma Pitaka, one of the three major divisions of the Tipitaka, or the Buddhist Pali Canon. The chanting of the Abhidhamma scriptures are conducted every day at regular intervals during the day, accompanied by the sounding of the time rituals. The Abhidhamma contains deep analytical teachings about mind and mental processes, ethical states and mental qualities, the nature of realities, ultimate truth, and causality, and how experiences arise. It is considered the most advanced and philosophical section of Buddhist scripture. The chanting is believed to bring peace to the diseased. It reminds listeners of impermanence and the path to liberation, and it supports the spiritual well-being of all who attend. His Majesty the King has proceeded to the front of the table of offerings in front of the royal platform, underneath the 9-tiered great white umbrella of state, to pay homage to the principal Buddha image of the event, which is the Buddha image of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother's birthday. Their Majesties the King and Queen have proceeded to the front of the royal urn and paid homage to the royal remains of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. His Majesty the King is now proceeding to light the incense and candles of the mother of pearl offering trays before the altars where the royal funeral monks chant the Abhidhamma scriptures on both the eastern and western sides of the northern portico of Dusit Maha Prasat throne hall. The monks at the platforms will then start the chanting of the Abhidhamma scriptures. For royal funerals in particular, Abhidhamma chanting symbolizes honor at the highest level of respect, blessings and merit dedicated to the royal person, and the spiritual guard for the journey beyond. Chanting of Abhidhamma scriptures is the recitation by Buddhist monks of the analytical teachings of the Abhidhamma Pitaka, traditionally performed to honor the deceased and dedicate merit, especially in royal funeral ceremonies. There will also be the sounding of the ceremonial time-marking music or Prakom Yam Yam, an ancient royal tradition of performing Thai music as part of the royal ceremonies of the royal funeral or the funeral of royal family members. It serves as a component signifying the royal and noble dignity and prestige of His Majesty the King, as well as members of the royal family. In addition, it serves as a signal marking the hours or time to indicate the schedule for the performance of duties. In the past, only a single ensemble of the gong and trumpets, the oboe, and the victory drums of the royal ceremonial ensemble of the Bureau of the Royal Household was used. The performers dressed in ancient royal court attire in red serve as the ceremonial musicians according to royal rank and dignity. The performance consisted of 8 sessions per day, or 1 performance every 3 hours, which in ancient terms was called performing throughout the day and night, beginning from 6 a.m. until 3 a.m. the following day. So we now come to the conclusion of the royal merit-making ceremony on this occasion of the 50th day following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. Their Majesties, accompanied by His Royal Highness Prince Tipankon Rasami Chod, Maha Rottamangkoon, Sri Vibun Rajakuman, and her noble consort, Srininath Pilat Kalayani, will now be departing from Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall within the ground of the Grand Palace. There are certain very important books being graciously offered by His Majesty the King to participants of the royal merit-making ceremony yesterday and today. He kindly, graciously bestowed books on the occasion of this, 1 set per person, totaling 5 volumes comprising Chulalongkorn Raja Santi Wung, the names of the royal sons, royal daughters, and royal grandchildren, recollections of accompanying the royal visits abroad on official duties. The third one is the exhibition hall of Thai folk textiles in celebration of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother. And the 5th one, Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, with the refined arts and the legend of the Siam Red Cross parts 1 and 2. So these are the books bestowed by His Majesty the King on the occasion of the royal merit-making ceremony on the 50th day, Panya Samawan, upon the royal remains. For those who attended the ceremony, one set per person. For those who have been watching the live telecast of the Royal Merit Making Ceremony on the 50th day, Panya Samawan, in dedication to the royal remains of Her Majesty Queen Sirikit, Queen Mother, at Dusit Maha Prasat Throne Hall in the Grand Palace, presided over by Their Majesties the King and Queen. Television Pope Thailand would like to thank you for watching this live telecast. The narrator has been Captain Dr. Yungyut Mayalab. Please join us on our next telecast. From Bangkok, Thailand, thank you very much. Goodbye. สวัสดีครับ